Okay, so in grade 11, there's also timeline type questions, and I want us to actually analyze a timeline question here and see if we can't actually unpack it. I will not necessarily do the actual working out. I may, and then allow you guys to actually comment in the comment section with your accurate answers, but it's very important to know how to unpack questions that are of a timeline nature so that you can be able to be fluent in answering questions such as this. So let's look at this question. Here we are told a savings account is opened with a deposit of 9,400 Rand. So this is the initial amount put into an account. And 2 years later, a further 5,800 is added to the savings account. So you can see that 2 years later, 5,800 is added to the savings account. So this is an additional deposit, but it's made 2 years later. Full stop. 5 years after the savings account was opened. So this is from the time that there's amount deposited. It says 5 years after that time. So this is 5 years later from this time, not from this time, but from this time. Okay. The savings account was opened. Another 12,600 is deposited into the account. So we deposit a further 12,600 after the initial amount was deposited. 1 year after this, 1,500 is drawn. 1 year after this, 1,500 is drawn. So I'm assuming that this 1 year after this has to do with 1 year after this 12,600 is deposited. Okay, it's very important that there needs to be no ambiguity in the question. All right, so it could be easy to say that this is a poorly phrased statement, because this statement needs to be clear to the learner as to whether are they referring to 1 year after this has happened. Is that what they are talking about? Or are they saying 1 year after the deposit of the 9,400? Because depending on the interpretation here, that could lead to different ways of understanding the question. So which is why it would have been nice for them to actually say 1 year after what? After this 12,600 is deposited. Okay, so I am then taking it as that when they say 1 year after this, they are talking about 1 year after the 12,600 is deposited. Because you see, they're saying here 5 years after the savings account was opened, another 12,600 is deposited into the account. And they say 1 year after this, 1,500 is drawn. So important to be clear here. Okay, are they talking about 1 year after the deposit of 9,400? Are they saying 1 year after the deposit of the 12,600? Anyways, we are then later told that the interest paid on the savings is 9% per annum compounded monthly. Calculate the total amount saved at the end of 9 years. So this is a good question, right? It's level 4, but it involves us using a timeline, right? So I'm just going to sort of like get us started here. So our timeline is a device that we use so that we can actually have things represented in a concise and nice way, so that we can do the calculation really unflinchingly and without much problems or trouble. I think it had been said earlier on that timelines are useful in financial mathematics when there are several deposits and withdrawals, as well as possible changes in interest rates. They provide a visual summary of all the information in an investment fund. So let's look at this summary for ourselves. So what we do in a timeline is that we represent the beginning as T0. Okay, this is when we are starting. The start is what we call T0. The beginning is called T0. When time has not lapsed as of yet, when we are beginning something, we call it T0. The minute a year passes, this is after 1 year, T1, T2, after 2 years, T3, after 3 years from the beginning, T4, after 4 years, T5, T6, and so it goes. So let's go and just reread this again. It says the savings account is opened with a deposit of 9,400. So at the beginning, what's the amount? 9,400. Then we further on read that, and 2 years later, a further 5,800 is added. 2 years later, so that's 1, 2. 2 years later, a further 5,800 is added. There it is. I say plus 5,800. Then 5 years after the saving account was opened, another 12,600 is deposited. 5 years later, from when we began, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means I'm going to add what? I'm going to add an additional 12,600. Make sense? Then continuing on, it says 1 year after this, 1,500 is withdrawn. A year after this, 1,500 is withdrawn. Okay. Then the interest paid on the savings is 9% per annum compounded monthly. Interest paid 9%. That 9% we know is going to be 0.09. Then we want to see if this interest rate will be affected. 9% per annum compounded monthly. So yes, there is a compounding period, which means 12. Okay, we divide the interest rate by 12. Very important. Divide the interest rate by 12. And then obviously this interest rate is basically going to be in effect for the entire investment period. Now how long? Calculate the total amount saved at the end of the 9 years. 9 years. End of the 9 years. So let's go. T6, 7, 8, 9. So here, want the value of the investment at the end of 9 years. Okay. So 9,400 is going to basically enjoy an interest rate for how long? For 9 years. That's how long the 9,400 is going to be enjoying the interest rate. So let's just, if I write our formula, we are going to do this. We have 9,400. We open a bracket, 1 plus I, the interest rate, which is 0.09. We are going to be dividing it by 12. But remember also that the interest rate is affected because there's a compounding period, but also the time period is affected because there's a compounding period. Then remember, we adding a what? 5,800. 5,800 is also going to be enjoying that interest rate. Which interest rate? This one. For how long? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For 7 years. So we're going to say 1 plus I 0.09 over 12. 7 times 12. Make sense? Then we are done. We add 12,600. Same thing. Interest rate, it's going to be enjoying that interest rate 0.9 over 12. So let's just continue it here. 12,600 just into 1 plus 0.09 over 12 to the power. How long will it be enjoying this interest rate? The interest rate is going to be enjoying it for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. 4 years, right? So that's 4 times 12. Then there's a withdrawal. Okay, 1 year after this. This is minus 1,500. Then, okay, how long? 1, 2, 3. 1 plus 0.09 over 12. You are going to say 3 times 12. So all you do is you take all of this and put it into your calculator. Okay, 9,400, 1 plus 0.09 over 12 to the power 9 times 12 plus 5,800, 1 plus 0.09 over divided by 12 to the power 7 times 12 plus 12,600 into 1 plus 0.009 over 12 to the power 4 times 12 minus 1500 into 1 plus 0.009 over 12 to the power 3 times 12. You punch all of this in your calculator, and then after that you just say equal, and you should get the answer, and it should be straightforward. So basically all these amounts, you are checking this amount, which interest rate is it enjoying it for how long. It's enjoying this interest rate for 9 years. 9 times 12, divide the interest rate by 12. This amount plus the 5,800, how long does it enjoy? What interest rate does it enjoy? It enjoys this interest rate for how long? For 7 years. That's why 7 times 12. This amount added here in this time period, for how long? Which interest rate does it enjoy? It enjoys this interest rate for how long? For 4 years. So that's why you have 4 times 12 here. Then you have this withdrawn amount. How much interest rate should it have enjoyed, and for how long? Okay, so basically obviously that withdrawal, we are charged for our withdrawal, we are charged that interest by the financial institution, and then we get the final amount. Okay, comment section guys, populate the answer. I really appreciate it.